Hey, this is Brandon Mendenhall from the Mendenhall Experiment, and you're watching the Conference of Mayors.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and that cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made us, concerts that made us.com.
Brandon, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm super stoked to be here, and it's kind of crazy, busy day for me, but I won't miss it, man. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Now, the Mendenhall Experiment have an upcoming EP, Chasing Ghosts. Your latest single, Say It, is actually from that EP. Tell us about the track.
So, Say It is probably what I refer to as our heaviest song in the catalog to date, and it's just one of those songs that um artistically and musically it came together in a different fashion than what how we previously write. We usually write in pairs, and then we'll bring stuff in and kind of work on things from there. But this song, Say It, came in together organically, like all in one night. Like I had a couple of the riffs, and then I kind of just showed the band, and then everybody kind of jumped in and threw in their flavor. And by the end of the evening, we had the bulk of the entire track.
Oh man, if every song could be like that, it'd be perfect.
It was really one of those magical music moments, man. We're really
Yeah,
proud of it.
I could imagine. I could imagine. And the upcoming EP, tell us what we can expect from it.
Chasing Ghost is due out. I think we're setting a date for the first week of September 2024. We're eyeing Friday, September 6th. We'll see if that actually gets solidified once the labels get a hold of everything. But yeah, looking to drop it then, and we'll be on tour again in September, September 2nd through the 12th, doing like Colorado kind of West Coast run. So it'll be a fun time.
Yeah, yeah. This EP, is it a departure from your previous sound, or is it something we're all familiar with?
I think it's more of an evolution of the band's current sound. I wouldn't really call it a departure, but I would say that everybody in the band is kind of growing as musicians and in their craft. So, it's just a more refined ideation of ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. How do you find the whole thing? Bands, they like to evolve over time, but you have to kind of keep that familiar recipe to keep fans kind of excited and interested. How do you guys approach it?
I think I think changing and growth is inevitable. I mean, obviously, as human beings and musicians, like you want that. You want to become better. You want to grow. You want to constantly learn things, or at least I do. That's the way I look at life. I'm always kind of trying to learn new things and evolve as a human being. So I approach music the same way. But I definitely agree with you. You have to do that, but you have to maintain the elements of your sound that kind of made you who you are and made you popular with your fan base. So I think it's just kind of finding that middle ground of a happy marriage between like classic sound and new evolution, and I think the way that we approach kind of keeping that in the mix is we always kind of reference like the classic tracks, the ones that have gotten a lot of attention, but not recreate them totally, but at least try to introduce some classic elements into the new stuff that kind of will make it all cohesive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I get you. I get you. Now, I love asking this. During production recording of the EP, was there any challenges or maybe memorable moments that you can share with us?
uh yeah, but I can share a funny story. So we finally got to, I think, day 3 of the Against the Law recording sessions, and we got to bass tracking, and my bass player Nathan goes in with the producer, and he's ready to go and wants to begin, and the producer turns to my bassist and was like, so is that the only bass you brought? And he's like, yeah, what's up? He goes, well, your bridge is literally falling out of your bass, so that's
Oh,
not gonna work. So he actually made, um, Nathan is left-handed, our bass player, so Nathan had to play one of our producer Chris's bass guitars upside down the entire time to
man.
record the record with. Well, I guess
Oh,
it would have been Against All Odds and the forthcoming Chasing Ghosts, because we did all 10 songs that then will become 2 EPs during the same.
yeah, yeah. Jeez. Oh man, are you guys going to make him play right-handed upside down on tour to get the same sound?
No, no, no. We keep it simple on stage. We want to bring the energy to the people.
Yeah, yeah. Now, before we move on to some concert questions, I'd love to share a bit of your story for any listeners that aren't familiar. As rock stars go, from the start, you kind of had the cards stacked against you, didn't you?
Yeah, I was born with cerebral palsy, and for the listeners that might not know what cerebral palsy is, it is a neuromuscular disorder that I was born with. Basically, my umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck when I was born, and in an effort to clear my airway, I had a stroke, which basically cerebral palsy is a side effect from that stroke at birth. So being disabled is all I've known growing up my whole life, but having endured all that, um, you know, people really didn't expect much from me as a human being. They thought, oh well, he's disabled, so he's just gonna be like, his family's gonna take care of him, and that's it. And I grew up like everybody else, developed my own personality, my own interests, my own wants and aspirations in life, and finding the guitar and music gave me a voice, gave me an outlet, gave me, that's where I found my purpose, where I found, what became my home, my community, my outlet for all, my friend base, but everybody is musicians or music lovers in my life. So, yeah, definitely had cards stacked against me from day one, but I was able to use the power of music and guitar playing to turn that into a positive.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I'd imagine when you wanted to start a band, it was near impossible probably to find other musicians that wanted to play, was it? What was that time like?
Yeah, that was, the beginning of all of it was painful. It was painful. Figuring it all out, getting rejected all the time, not really knowing where or how I fit into not only playing the instrument, but also like finding my way in the music industry. It was a very painful kind of gauntlet experience. Um, but once I figured out my own voicing on the guitar, and I figured out how to use like drop tunings and make the guitar work for my ability, then I was able to find my own voice. Once I found my voice on the instrument, then it made it a little bit easier to find other people that were more open minded towards playing with a musician like myself.
Yeah, yeah. Bit of a tough question now, but do you feel like you've reached the point in your career where people, as a musician, people look at you and see a musician, or do you think they kind of see your disability first?
I think I think that still even this far along in my career, I think that still is a factor. And I think that it definitely depends on the person. It depends on the human being. Some people are gonna see me as a rock star like straight away. Other people are gonna see me as a musician with a disability or a disabled musician. Other people are gonna see me as not a very good guitarist. It's all subjective. Um, some people liking me to be like the disabled version of Eddie Van Halen. It's just all it's all subjective. It's all how the person views it and what their own individual values are. So it's like I can't even get upset about it really because it doesn't really reflect on me as much as it reflects on them. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, actually. Yeah. Yeah. And before we move on, I just want to shout out the documentary. If anyone is interested in learning more about your story, there was a documentary made, Mind Over Matter. Am I right?
Yes, Mind Over Matter. It's a full length feature film. You can find it on YouTube, Crackle, Roku. If you're in Europe, it's on Amazon Prime right now. It will cycle back to Amazon in the States in a few months. But if you want to buy a hard copy of the album, you can go to SumerianRecords.com. Underneath the films tab, you'll find everything Mind Over Matter. You can buy all the merchandise, you can buy physical DVDs, all that kind of stuff.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Now, the moment for the concerts. We better start talking about it. First off, a bit of an easy one. As a concert goer, what concerts have made you?
Um, oh man, there's so many of them, but like, um, a bunch of different corn shows throughout the years, like, being on stage with them at the Forum, being in the corn cage with them at the Wilshire, seeing them in Chicago at the Aragon Ballroom, obviously the very first one, um, Family Values 98, and at the Rosemont Horizon or quote unquote All State Arena, a bunch of Nine Inch Nails shows. Again, seeing them Actually, the most notable Nine Inch Nails show is seeing Nine Inch Nails at Red Rocks in Colorado in the amazing venue. Bunch of Pantera shows. Saw Pantera, the original Pantera, when I was a kid. Pantera Slayer, Pantera Soulfly, Damage Plan. The last Damage Plan show in LA, about 10 days before Dimebag got killed.
Mhm.
That's probably one of my most memorable shows ever because Dimebag reached down and put his last pick that he ever performed with in LA in my hand.
Oh my God.
Like he played with it and when he put it in my hand. Um, and I still have it. And then during that performance, I just turned 21. I just turned up in LA a few months prior to that. So I have the wristband that proved that I was of age to drink. And so during the show, he kept bringing out um, his signature shot called the Black Tooth. It's whiskey
Yeah.
with a splash of Coke. I don't know if you're familiar, but his longtime girlfriend, uh, slash life partner, wife, Rita, was in front of me in the security pit filming him with his own video camera. So he kept bringing out rounds of black tears for him and Rita, and they were doing shots like in between songs. So I yelled at him and I was like, hey, Dime, give me a freaking shot. And I put my wristband, my arm up to show the wristband. I was like, yo, I just turned 21. So the next three go rounds, he had shots brought out. He brought out shots for all three of us. And each time we cheers and did the shot. And then the last time before the end of the set, he just took a bottle of Jack Daniels and like poured it down my throat.
Oh man.
It
Oh
was a
man.
really sick kind of surreal experience. And then after the show, Rita came and found me and gave me one of Vinnie Paul's drumsticks, and Dime had already given me the guitar pick.
Yeah.
But then she grabbed me and like four other dudes. It was at the House of Blues in LA. And she was like, you gotta come with us now. You gotta shoot the opening for the Damage Plan home video part one. So she grabbed me and four other dudes from the front row of that show, and we walked over in front of the bar inside the House of Blues, and we shot it like, the opening saying, "Welcome to the Damage Plan home video part one." We did that like 4 or 5 times. So she had it like to be the official opener.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the whole time, like, because one of the reasons I'm a huge Pantera fan is because of crazy home video. And here I am, like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be in my opening for the Damage Plan home video.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, we all know the story. Don was killed 10
Mm.
days later, and the video never came to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Still though, that has to be one of the coolest dime stories out there. That is, I'm amazed. I'm in awe.
It it's one of the stories most closest to my heart.
Yeah.
Dimebag was definitely one of my heroes. I would say that the whole what I refer to as like the holy trinity of the bands that inspired me was Korn, Pantera, Nine Inch Nails. So Dimebag was one of my dudes, man. And even though I never got to meet him in person, technically, I got to share those moments with him.
Yeah, yeah. You got to share a drink with him.
And then, and then most notably, most recently, as of last year, last summer, last July, we played Incarceration Fest, and Pantera was the headliner on the festival.
Oh
Um,
man.
we opened the campground stage right after Pantera ended on the main stage. Um, Phil had invited me up to get up and do walk with him live on the Pantera stage to do the backing gang vocals for walk.
Yeah.
Um, so me and my touring manager Scotty, we got up and we did walk with Pantera that night in front of 70,000 screaming Pantera fans.
Holy crap, man.
It's
That is,
obviously, one of you talk about concert highlights.
mm,
That's and I was telling you about, when I was a kid seeing Pantera when I was like 15, Pantera Slayer, Pantera Soulfly, to like becoming an artist myself and then being invited on stage by the man himself.
yeah,
Um,
exactly. Exactly. Going full circle.
and then going from that stage and then performing directly after Pantera. And what made it even cooler was we did walk together. And then during the intro for the following song, Cowboys from Hell, um, Phil was like, Brandon Mendenhall from the Mendenhall Experiment got up and did walk with us tonight. His band, the Mendenhall Experiment's up next. Go watch.
Oh man.
It was sick, dude. It was
Yeah,
sick.
yeah. Oh, I would have loved to have been there. And for anyone that's not lucky enough to have caught one of your shows, what are they like? Give us the full experience if you can.
Of a Mendenhall Experiment show.
Yeah.
Um, we we put ourselves on one thing, and that's giving the people a nonstop high energy, like visual, obviously musically entertaining, but also visually entertaining show as well. And we don't have any fancy lights or lasers or like, everybody has those like LED like light strobe thing. We don't have any of that. We have a backdrop. We have we have a backup. We have a bunch of amps. We have a couple of like smoke cannons, and that's it. And the rest of it is just pure 100% high energy.
Sounds like a hell of a show. Out of all the gigs you've played, you've toured numerous times, both as a headliner and national. You've shared stages with, as you mentioned, Slayer, Megadeth, numerous other top level bands. Is there a gig that you would say is the best of your career? It couldn't have got any better.
Oh man, there's been there's been a few. There's been like more than a handful. Obviously, I would say the most notable one, and everybody's always gonna go to back to the one that's featured in the movie, right? The main stage or aftershock with Korn and Slayer and that huge, phenomenal lineup. And that was a great moment in the band's history for sure. But since then we've played like sold out clubs, like we did the Lemmy Memorial and the official Lemmy Kilmonster memorial at the Whiskey in Hollywood, and that was sold out. We've had killer gigs on tour with Flaw, like in Kentucky, that was sold out. Um, we've played like uh, most notably the last show that we did on tour with Scream at the Sky in Houston, Texas. I'm not sure if that show was sold out or not, but it was wall to wall packed. You know, we've had um, gigs in Hollywood opening for Papa Roach where it was packed out and it was just insane. So um it's just anytime we can get in front of a giant audience and do what we do, it's gonna be a blast.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds like. Now, to flip that question around, is there a gig you've played that maybe everything went wrong? Things started to fall apart, and how did you overcome it?
Oh man. Um there's been so many of those, like
Right.
so many small club gigs where you get up and you start playing and like your amp goes down or like I've had so many amp problems. We've had bass guitars go out on us. We've had vocals drop. It's just honestly, man, that's a part of the gig
Yeah.
is is knowing how to navigate natural disasters on stage. Like um when we played with Nonpoint last summer, or 2 summers ago rather, um, our bass player completely went out. Like on the last tour, I had an amp completely go down on me,
Oh
like
man.
during our set, and most notably when we played with John Five, um, my rig was cutting it in and out the whole time, and I was pissed because that
Yeah.
was a guitar-oriented show, and I'm like, oh, what the frick, man? My rig's going out now. I look like a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all I can say about that is you're gonna have moments like that. You're gonna have those disaster gigs. And the best piece of advice I can give anyone is the same piece of advice that Monkey from Corn gave to me, and what I hold so valuable and true. Because of that, he told me, like, because I asked him one night, I was like, "How do you deal with that stuff on stage and not like get all like frazzled in your
Yeah.
head?" And he was like, "Dude, you can't do anything about it. You just gotta keep moving." He goes, "The moment's past. You just gotta keep moving forward, and
Yeah.
you can't get all cerebral with it. You gotta like stay focused on what you're doing, and just know that like it may sound catastrophic to you on stage, but 90% of the audience isn't gonna care."
Yeah. True, actually. That's very good advice. 90% of the audience probably wouldn't even notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to showtime, then, pre-show and post-show, how do you psych yourself up? Then afterwards, how do you wind down?
Oh man. Psyching myself up pre-show. Um, it's different than it used to be. I used to have a permanent like pre-show ritual where I would like listen to like the Broken album from Nine Inch Nails and have a drink and get all like psyched up like I wanted to go out and rage and kill things. Um, but now in my older years, I just getting a guitar in my hand and being hot, being warm, and being ready, and just knowing that like we're gonna go get it. And then after the show, it's like just finding a moment to take that breath. And I usually have a drink or two after the show and just wind it down.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I like it. Before we dive into the last couple of questions, then, future plans. I know you told us when the EP is coming out. Tell us about upcoming tours and everything else.
So we're about to embark on the Choice is Yours tour. Actually, we leave tomorrow, tomorrow morning, and the first show is in El Paso, Texas on Wednesday. Um, it's 8 dates right now, and we're still kind of booking the last two as we go along. Um, we had 10, then it dropped to 5. Now we got it back up to 8. So we're hoping to get 10 shows by the end of the run. Uh, all that kind of Western region. We start in Texas. We go through. The big reasoning for the tour is we have a direct support gig with POD at Hot Springs Water Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas. So we booked the whole tour around that kind of one-off show.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds good.
So
Sounds good. You're busy,
that's
so
southern region. Then so we do 10 shows in July. We'll have another 10 shows in September. Um, based around the Break the Silence Festival in Fort Morgan, Colorado. And then we're gonna end the tour. We're gonna end the year with like 2 weeks, end of October, early November.
right, right. I have to ask, I'm based in Ireland, so I have to ask, is there ever any aspirations to come over to Europe?
Dude, are you kidding? Like I almost went to Ireland last summer. I had plans with coworkers of mine to spend 7 to 10 days in Ireland, and I was super super stoked about it. And then it fell through over something as stupid as like one of the main people that organized the trip didn't actually have their passport. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. We did all this and you don't even have the right to go.
Oh man.
So I never so I never got to come over, but I am um chomping at the bit. I wanna come to Ireland. I wanna see the countryside.
Yeah.
Um so I gotta ask you I have to ask you a question. So you live in Ireland, correct?
Yeah.
So are you a McGregor fan or not? A McGregor.
It's I don't mind him, but I don't love him. If he's fighting, I'll support him, I'll watch him, but I wouldn't be, to put it nicely, as a fighter, he's great. As a person, I think he's a bit of an idiot, you know?
He, I think Connor, he started out with the best of intentions
Hmm.
and with a really good, pure heart. As a fighter, I think he's unmatched. Um, as a person, I think he's let the fame and all the other things kind of punish that good-hearted spirit that he had in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
He,
Exactly. It went
he,
straight
he
to his head.
needs He needs to really find himself again. Leave the leave the cocky attitude to the fights, but be a good person outside of the ring.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Right. The last couple of questions, there are a couple of fun random ones, but I'm intrigued to see your answers. First off, apart from music, what are you currently obsessed with?
Personal finance. I
Right.
I am super passionate about like investing in the stock market and cryptocurrency. It's something that I took up during the COVID years. I figured we had a lot of downtime as everybody did. So I wanted to learn a skill that could benefit me in life. And I really kind of came up in an environment that didn't um, set me up with a good financial education. So I took it upon myself to learn how to be good with money and how to invest and how to take my money and make it into more money. And so I'm very much looking to set myself up in life that way so that I can continue to pour buckets of money into the Mendenhall Experiment and make it the biggest band I can make it, because
Yeah.
I don't make a lot of money off doing with music. Then there's not a lot of money in the rock business anymore.
Mm.
So when they say you really have to love it, you really have to love it because it is 100% a labor of love. For
Yeah.
sure.
Definitely. That has to be one of the smartest obsessions I've heard in a long time anyway. I like it.
Yeah, man. And I honestly, I never thought I would find something that I was as passionate about as I am with like music and guitar playing, but it's there, man. I just can't get away from it. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah. The next question, it's a bit of an odd one. If you had to spend 24 hours locked in a room with any musician from history, who would it be? I think I know the answer.
Man, dude, that's such a tough question, man. Um, Obviously, Dimebag would be the go-to, right? You would think of a guitar
Yeah,
player, like
yeah,
Dimebag would be. I think would be the expected answer people would expect me to go to, but I I want to meet Keith Richards. I
right.
want to take Keith's brain.
Yeah.
I think it would be Keith, or it would be like Buddy Guy. And even though I've met Buddy Guy for like 5 minutes, um, if I could sit down and jam with Buddy Guy for like 30 minutes and learn something from him, I think it would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, be pretty
The,
cool.
and the reason why I say like Buddy Guy and Keith, even though Dimebag is awesome and that's metal and that's in my wheelhouse, right? But Buddy Guy and Keith Richards are the foundation of everything that we know as rock and roll. You know,
Yeah.
everything started with those guys. I've got the Chess Records chess piece tattooed
Ah,
closest to my heart on the inside of my hand
oh man, it's pretty
because
cool.
that's the foundation of rock and roll.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I love that answer. I wasn't expecting it, but brilliant answer. I love it. I love it. The final question. So, what is your go-to album? What's an album you constantly revisit?
Oh man. Um Sticky Fingers by the Rolling Stones.
Really?
I think it quite possibly might be the perfect album ever made.
Right. Right. I like it. Another great choice. Brilliant. Listen, Brandon, I can't describe how much I've enjoyed this now. It has been an absolute blast. Thanks a million.
Dude, thank you so much for having me and great interview, great questions. I really enjoyed it.
Welcome to the podcast, concerts that made us, interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts that made made us, concerts that made us.com.